Welcome back, everyone, to a brand new spoiler review here at Max Talks Movies. My name is Max Dinenberg. Today, I am breaking down the season finale of the new FX Hulu show, Alien Earth. So, if you're new guys to the channel, please hit that subscribe button and ring that bell for notifications. I do movie reviews, TV show reviews, add feeder reactions, movie franchise rankings, and every single Monday, I break down the box office. So, please subscribe, ring the bell if you're new to the channel. Comment down below. What are your thoughts on Alien Earth Episode 8? Did it disappoint you? Did you like it? Would you want a season 2? What do you want to see out of a season 2? What do you guys think is the reason is for the show not being renewed already? Would love to hear your thoughts down in the comment section. I respond to all comments, so please comment down below. And also, guys, please hit that thumbs up button. So, overall, I was very excited for this finale. And what I'll say is, I think this finale, I think, really sums up the show, which is, I think it was a very solid finale. I don't think this show was a home run or the best piece of material for the franchise since Aliens or Alien. But it gave us new ideas, a completely separate entity outside of the main Alien films that makes you wonder more about the overall franchise, but also feels a more self-contained story where you don't really have had to seen many of the other films of the franchise. And I thought this was a solid episode, which I think did a good job at wrapping up some of the storylines, but it left a lot open for season 2. And going into this episode, I really wasn't sure what direction they would go in because, again, still as of now, as me recording this, Alien Earth has not been renewed by Disney. And again, Noah Hawley is one of the most important creators for Disney, FX, Hulu. As he is the creator, showrunner for Fargo, which is one of the most successful shows for FX and Hulu, as well as Legion. He's a staple for FX and Hulu TV shows. And I was wondering why they didn't just greenlight another season with him being the showrunner for this show. So I thought, again, because Prodigy is not a major factor at all, we don't even know who Prodigy is when we get to the first Alien film. I was thinking, well, are we going to just destroy the island in this episode and kind of be just a limited series, a one-off? But this show desperately wants a season 2. We'll get to that towards the end, and also my overall score for the show, possibly also towards the end of the show. So this episode is really about the people who are being locked up in this prisoner, or it's kind of like in people like to say when the asylums or the criminals are running the asylum now. That's what this episode is. The prisoners are running the asylum. That's what kind of this episode is because the kids, the hybrids, are held captive by someone who they thought they could trust in Boyd Cavalier. But Wendy is kind of the one person, then Nips, and then everyone else kind of comes along that they're not being treated fairly. They're not being allowed, really, in their eyes, they're not being allowed to grow up. At the same time, as they're captured, Morrow and Joe are in a separate prison, and Boyd continues to be fascinated by the eye, the Oculus creature. And we also learn in this episode that he has a very severe form of ADHD, which Kirsch tells him in the middle of the episode. And that's why we know that he just can't focus on one thing at a time. He focuses on the fact that Wendy can talk to the xenomorphs. He's focused on the fact that he can maybe develop his own hybrid like Curly, who is his favorite and things of that sort. Then he focuses in on Yutani and battling that. Then he focuses on the Oculus creature. He just doesn't have a ton of span to time to focus on one particular thing, and that kind of bites him in the end of the day. So obviously a lot's going on. The xenomorph is also roaming around the island. It comes up on Dame Sylvia. The military guards are there and take her away. But the xenomorph is still being, vocally controlled or told what to do from Wendy. And Wendy just becomes an unbeatable force in the episode where she control the camera. She control when the doors could open. She's the most powerful being on this island, and that includes the xenomorph because she can also talk with the specimens. And I will say this, I think the biggest fault of the show is never explaining how Wendy can do all of those things. And why can't the other hybrids do that as well? It is for me, the biggest fault and flaw of the show, which is I'm cool with Wendy having these powers. I think they're very cool and an interesting dynamic that, again, we haven't seen anyone be able to communicate with the xenomorphs in the franchise. Other than like maybe you want to count Alien Resurrection towards the end, but that's like a half human, half xenomorph, so it's not really a full-on xenomorph. So we don't really have seen xenomorphs communicate with anything other than xenomorphs. And I'm all cool with the abilities they give Wendy in the show, but they just don't explain it. And I think it's such a mistake because the show had plenty of time to explain why Wendy has these particular abilities. Why don't the other kids have these abilities? Do each kids have their own specific abilities to themselves? And I think saving that for season two is a big mistake. And as I said, is my biggest problem with the show, which is, again, not problem with what they did to give her these abilities, just not explaining how she can do these things is a mistake for the show. So she's kind of disregarding the comms, the cameras of the whole building. So everyone's kind of doing their own thing, but this then leads to everyone escaping and going their own plans. Nips to capture Dame Sylvia. You have Shmi, trying to make sure I get all the characters. Shmi and Schmite and Slightly going to get Kirsch and Morrow after Morrow breaks out of prison, and Wendy's and Curly as well to find where Boy Cavalier is, and you also have Wendy trying to figure out where her brother is at the same time. So her brother walks into a trap where he's told from the servant for Boy Cavalier to go in this room for a deal. But it's just to get the eye in him, the Oculus creature in him. Wendy's there for the save. She could also control those synthetics, which is what he is. And Wendy has this big fight with Joe, which is who you're kind of choosing in this. And Wendy brings up a very interesting point. It's a flawed point. Her views are very simplistic. It's going to probably be an element that is her downfall in season two, which is her very simplistic views of life, that she knows Marcy is dead. She has the memories of Marcy, but she likes the simplicity of the talking with the xenomorphs. They're not going to lie to her. They're not going to backstab her, in her opinion. And the humans, they can have a mind of themselves, can kind of do whatever they want. They can't really be controlled technically. And Wendy sees the freeness of talking with the creatures has been benefiting her more than talking with the humans, which I find, again, a very fascinating argument here. Because Joe didn't mean to like kill Nips or anything, but he also wanted to protect his friends at the same time. We have also in this episode an excellent fight scene between Morrow and Kirsch. Morrow at first gets the best of him, like breaking his back, and you see the white milk blood, as they say, bleeding out of Kirsch. But he's actually not dead. He puts Morrow to sleep, but that's when the two kids come in, but they just lock them up in the same prison as well. But the other thing we also learn in this episode is Boy Cavalier gives his grand speech to the hybrids. And basically, he said he basically killed his father when he was like 6 or 7 years old to take over this corporation, become this trillionaire. And again, he just wants to be and believes he is the smartest person in the room at all times. If he actually could focus on one thing, he maybe would work out in the end, especially if he just focused his time on perfecting the hybrids, but he got so distracted by the specimens, the Yutani of it. Each individual creature had its own time of focus for him. It was kind of too much for him to take, and that's why the Prodigy is just in danger in the episode. So he tries to escape later in the episode, but he gets tracked down by the Xenomorph, and the Xenomorph takes out everyone else. The Xenomorph killing people on the island, seeing all the bloodshed, very cool scene as well. But Joe kicks him, and now it is the people who are running the asylum, as they say, they are now in prison, and the people who were in prison in the asylum are now running the asylum. Again, everyone in here is very, very flawed. The people controlling the hybrids and who created this island, they're not the greatest people in the world. But it's not like the hybrids here are the heroes of the story. They're going through a very simplistic point of view. They just see themselves as invincible in a lot of ways and find so many faults in being human and the benefits of being more than human. So it's gonna be interesting if Joe wants to also become more than human in season two. But no major character deaths outside of Toodles. And you also have Arthur also, who's on the island. The Eye takes over for Arthur. So when Dame Sylvia sees that not just is Arthur still on the island, but he's dead and being controlled by an alien, that could be a very disconcerting scene. But you can see everyone else is very nervous about the situation, except for some reason, Boy Cavalier has a big grin on his face towards the end. So again, this show will only be, I think, remembered if it indeed gets a season two. It definitely wraps some things up, but for the most part, it is a lot of setup for next season. We have Yutani's forces coming onto the island. It was a weird ending where I felt like it feels like there's like one more episode, maybe one or two more episodes left that could have completed this story. But we're ending the season here. So overall, I would say this was a very solid, I'd probably give it like a 3.5 out of 5 season of television. I really enjoyed it and would be absolutely excited for a season two and want a season two. These are characters that I enjoy. I love the world of Alien. This is giving a very fresh, original take in already a 40 plus year established franchise and lore. It did something unique and fresh with the genre and the franchise. So I'm cool with them continuing on with Alien Earth. Performances were good. There was a very well made show. The xenomorph stuff was really cool. I thought there were definitely some flaws. A lot of the characters were stupid. Again, once again, in the Alien franchise, they struggle with having these trillionaires and these supposed smart people of this society be the dumbest people in these movies. And as I said, I cannot get over the fact that they just did not explain why Wendy has these powers compared to everyone else. So I want a season two. I would be here to cover down season two, but I just want to say thanks everyone for joining me on this 8-week journey of Alien Earth. As you can tell, I am a massive fan of the Alien franchise, and I am so happy we're getting the first TV show. And hopefully, we see more entries into the Alien franchise in the near future. So, what are your thoughts on Alien Earth? Let me know down in the comments. Like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in another video very soon.